Tradwives are women back in chains. Welcome to Honey Badger Radio, and another episode of Maintaining Frame. Number 117 for the pendants who are keeping track. And I think I pronounced everything correctly, Brian. So go me.
Yeah. So that's correct. Although your camera is being, it's like you're really choppy. You're really choppy.
Oh, okay. Okay, just give me a sec here.
You gotta close some of those porn tabs. And
my trad life fetish tab.
Yeah.
Because I'm an obvious trad life fetishist, as you can see from my demeanor, shall we say. Let's call it that. All right, so we're going to be discussing a video from...
Was this a request from...
Yeah, this was a request. This was actually a request from Richard Pierre, who gives us a lot of requests. And I mean, honestly, some of this stuff we might not have taken a look at otherwise, but it's good to know what's happening in the female dating strategy sphere. And I suppose this is actually more classic feminist analysis. I think it's good to take a look at this stuff because this is sort of the heartbeat of the male-female relationship end of the culture war. And from my angle, from my vantage point, that's pretty much the heart of the culture war. What it really boils down to is a society that's at war with masculinity. And that
is true.
The main premise of this is that women who get into relationships with men, and that is their primary source of income and self-worth, as if that isn't the case for the man as well. But let's set that aside. Women like that are betraying the sisterhood or are going to be horribly exploited because everybody needs to be a wage slave in the communist utopia.
Or at least, it makes perfect sense. Although I think, like, I'm at the point now where what I think is going on is people, feminists, they're just trying to burn everything down. And the reason is because they don't feel like they can truly begin to, get to whatever their utopic vision of the society is until all of the old ways are gone. So it isn't really about changing things so much as it is about destroying everything and then starting anew. And I mean, that's what I have seen, and it's been written about in this way. So, it starts with simple things like demonizing masculinity. Why? Because it's really easy. Because people are generally not going to complain or make a fuss because, we already take men for granted. So,
And what's interesting is that the individuals who are involved in all of this are appealing to some really essentialist notions about gender at the same time as somehow gender is a spectrum and fluid. But men are more rapey and oppressive.
Yep. Okay, so anyway, let's get into the video. So the video we're looking at is called The Tradwives of TikTok by a YouTube content creator named FunkyFrogBait, who has 2.1 million subscribers. So pretty popular channel. 2.1 million is nothing to sneeze at. Yeah. So let's see what she has to say. I've already got some time codes here. I went through the transcript. I wanted to start with something that sort of like sets the tone. So this isn't so much a thesis, but a tone setter.
It's like you're serving this as like a lunch. You're serving this up.
Yeah.
Positive spin,
I'm going to refresh your camera. Are you using an Elgato virtual camera?
Yeah, I'm using the Elgato virtual camera, so maybe we're having some trouble with that.
Yeah.
In the meantime, even though you can't really see me, I could do the things.
Go ahead. I don't know. It might cut out your audio, but I'm going to do a quick refresh.
Here, let me
it's still pretty awful.
Okay, I can do the things, but I think probably the only thing I can really do is leave and come back. And then
are you using that? Yeah, you might because it's, I don't know, like I don't think these are going to make for great shorts. because your camera is really jank. So I could change.
Okay,
I can actually control what camera you use from here. I could change it to a FaceTime camera, Direhawk's phone camera. I'm not going to. I'm just saying I can. I have the power.
Let me see what it looks like. Okay, let me just see what that looks like.
Are you changing it?
Yeah, I just changed it. That looks a little
I don't see anything, but the angle's different. Yeah, there's like a.
Yeah, the angle is different.
We get smug Allison from this angle. Like, maybe then try to leave and come back. Try that because.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that really quick.
All right, hurry up.
You maybe announce you got the relevant details for the event, right?
Yeah, I'll tell them about it while you're doing that. So. Just, we are currently trying to raise some support for a meetup. So we haven't done a meetup in over 5 years. The last time we got to meet up was in 2019. So it's been about 5 years. And now we're going to try and make it happen again, which it hasn't in a while. Looks like it's working now.
Oh, great. Yeah. So that was what it was. I had to leave and come back. Apologies, guys. Sometimes these.
I was just talking about the meetup. So if you want to finish
sure.
that, go ahead.
Well, I don't know what you guys said or what.
All I've said is that we haven't done a meetup in 5 years.
Oh God, no. Yeah, it's been a time, guys. It's been.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now we're probably on a Safe Skies watch list, so it's going to be interesting.
Definitely.
Yeah, so the meetup's going to be the 28th of September, so this month in about a little over 2 weeks in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. If you want more details on it, you can go to feedthebadger.com/events. I'm still putting on a fundraiser to make sure we can cover the cost of travel, which is not cheap, shall we say. But again, so put that in your calendars. And if you are in the region, please do come out. And completely unintentionally, we're having our meetup on the same day that Justin Trottier is having his I think it's annual conference on men's and fathers issues in I believe Toronto, or I think it's Toronto. So if you're interested in that and you're on the western side of Canada, or sorry, the eastern side of Canada, and you have a hankering for some men's issues content, you can go over to the Canadian Centre for Men and Families website and take a look at that. Or you can come see us, and maybe next year we can coordinate this a bit better so it's not overlapping. But I'm pretty sure that our event will be fairly intimate, shall we say? Would say small, but intimate sounds better. But yeah,
I would say low key.
Low key, yeah. It's gonna be a low key. Just have nice conversations, sit out in the park, eat some cheese. Not me, because I'm allergic to cheese, but I could eat some vegetables and have some smoked meats and just enjoy each other's company.
Smoke cigars.
Smokes.
Yeah,
just relax.
Just typical badgery things. So yeah, and you already mentioned the link and all that.
Yeah. Okay, so again, it's September 28th, so a little bit over 2 weeks from now in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and it will probably be taking place in Reader Rock Garden. At least the initial part, because we'll probably walk around, do other stuff depending on what happens. So mark that in your calendars, and if you want any more information, feedthebadger.com/events. So feedthebadger.com/events. And if you want to send us a message at any point throughout the show, feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Because it's the very best way to send us whatever funds you want to send us in a tip, and the very best way for you to send your comment, not through YouTube's comment system, as it were.
Yep. All right. So let's get into the video. So we're going to open up with this opening.
The tone setter is what you were saying?
Yes.
Oh, it's the egg apron gate.
Where she has over 9.6 million followers. She might have come
feeling jealous.
Oh, absolutely. I think so for sure. All right, I'm gonna play some more.
Meals from scratch while a football team roster of children trade turns clinging to her. Hell, she's one step away from making the mozzarella for this lasagna with her own breast milk. What do you think her husband?
She's okay. So this is what I gather from this person. Okay. FunkyFrogBait is a theater kid, because all these people are theater kids, who wants to be at once like a hipster used record store employee, lesbian, feminist, and also Janine Garofalo comedian. So she's doing these like dry delivery jokes that are right out of like unfortunately, the Daily Show, Samantha Bee, like it's just.
Let's see if we laugh. Let's see if we laugh.
Yeah. You laugh, you lose, right? Let's see. I'm not gonna laugh at her jokes, but I'm just saying this is like the quality of shit we're gonna get.
Is this like shaping up to be like the theater kids against the art kids?
The theater kids have taken over our culture. They have. They are making the video games. They are making the movies. They are making the TV shows. They are writing the literature. And they think, and they're certain. No, yeah, it is crap. But they're also simultaneously trying to expose us to their art while also burning everything down. And this woman is just, I think she thinks that she's like standing out in a crowd. All I see is a checklist of this is what you have to do to be as unappealing to anyone as possible, especially normal people. It starts with the nose ring. Sorry, but the nose ring is like
done.
A dead giveaway. Like, okay, you are one of them. You are cooked. But anyway, we gotta read. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Before we continue, I just want to. Where are the art kids in all of this? Like you were okay. Were you?
I think that a lot of the kids are the art kids too. Like, I think I'm the weird exception that doesn't find any of this appealing. I think that most of the art. So this is what I really think. Okay, I think the kids that went to theater school and art school that actually don't know how to draw, paint, or act, or sing, or dance, or perform in any way, they're the ones that end up doing this stuff. They're like, this is their comp. Like,
that could be an indictment of us too.
I'm 6 figures in debt. It could be, but like, you know what? I'm not going to be bothered by that because, but it's revenge for college debt. That's what this is. Like collective punishment for their college debt.
And yet the whole line of this is, be a wage slave. That's empowerment for women.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
She won't tell you this, but she is definitely a narcissist, and I have a clip that proves it. But
okay,
they're all narcissists.
I just want to say, the reason why I say there seems to be maybe a difference in art is because you have the artists that really seem to focus on attention, right? So the theater kids. And possibly also like the spectacle artists as well. So they're what they're interested in is a performance and attention. And then you have the artists who like go into a cave and by themselves construct a work of art. You know what I mean? The difference?
Yeah.
Like one is very
but
social,
the latter is very rare. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The former is very common, and I think that they're only artists because they call themselves artists, not because they actually craft anything of value. But I'm gonna point out that she is trying to dunk on this woman that she, for whatever reason, doesn't like. And this is the thing: this woman, she said she has like 9 million followers or something on Instagram, right? Some crazy high number, and she finds that dangerous. That women are choosing to follow this person because she doesn't like what this person does. But anyway, and that's why she makes this crack about breast milk and that her husband is like, this like son of the founder of JetBlue, Azul, and Breeze Airways. So like super rich family. Okay. I thought women were supposed to be getting that bag though. Like, isn't that the bag? That's a pretty big bag.
That's a big bag for her to be getting. And also all those followers, man, she's banking. She got a giant bag, this woman. And like, even if it doesn't work out with, like this guy looks like the
That's not the guy she married. That's not the guy she married. That's his father.
Oh, okay.
So that's her father-in-law, effectively. Yeah.
Well, he's sort of a silver fox,
Yeah, he looks like, some like Mad Men character. Very straight-laced, but anyway.
But my ultimate point is that I think maybe we could say it's the artists who work in isolation, because a lot of like painting and writing, if you're going to do it very well, you have to just sit there with your own thoughts for a long time. And then you have the theater kids, which can also be also try to turn art writing and artistry into some kind of social performance to its detriment, which is why everything sucks now. There you go. Brought it around. I brought it around. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with the generalization. I'm not offended by it. But okay, let me play some more of the video. First, I got a super chow from Richard Bier. He gives us $5 and says, "Are you going to open the meetup with the mandatory land acknowledgement as required by law for any event held on public property?" I don't know. It's yes, I suppose we will.
Yeah, I guess so. We'll research that and we'll do it. If it is mandatory. All right, let's.
If it's the law, we got to follow it. Okay, let's play some more of the video.
13 years for her birthday. I'll give you a hint. It's not tickets to Greece. Not even with that sweet family discount.
Ooh, a hat I can wear in Greece.
It's not a hat.
Oh, my egg apron!
My egg apron. She even says my egg apron.
Yep.
So this is something that she's obviously hinted at. And let's be frank, she's a woman. So this isn't just the egg apron and the functionality of the apron. It also is a statement about how she's modest and humble and, you know, family focused, and she's works the farm. You know, like she is an Instagram influencer or whatever it is.
Well,
right?
yeah, but also it's also a testament to her husband, because what I'm guessing is that she either asked directly for it or she dropped hints about what she wanted, and he listened and he inferred and was like, "Oh, I'll get her this thing," and like so. And this, for some reason, I don't get why this video, because I'm sure this woman makes content all the time, but for some reason this video of her getting the egg apron is the thing really that feminists are latching onto. Yeah, like
and not just feminists, but the female dating strategy people who are like, "Oh, get that bag, girlfriend, be a spoiled princess." And you know why it is? It's because I think this hits right to the heart of their materialism. Now, she could be just a really genuine person and very humble and very interested in improving her egg game, shall we say. Or this could be an act for her followers and because it's part of her shtick, which is possible. I can't tell. I don't know her. But the point is that she's demonstrating humbleness and simplicity and being happy with something that isn't hugely expensive. Because what does this woman start with? These aren't tickets to Greece. This isn't a gigantic rock for her finger. No.
Well, there's more. We should watch the rest of the clip.
Oh, okay, let's watch the rest.
All right, so let's watch the rest of the clip. All right, here we go. Let me switch to the source.
You're welcome.
Thanks, honey.
People really didn't enjoy watching the light leave a demure housewife's eyes after opening a disappointing gift while her husband loomed over her and demanded her gratitude. For some strange reason. But
Yes,
that's why you didn't like it.
That's the real message that she's sending. And of course, it requires her feminist telepathy to understand that the man was actually looming over her and making demands, and that the woman was terrified of her husband. This girl, by the way, has a boyfriend. She's talked about it in the video. Guys, raise your standards. Jesus Christ, you can do better than this. I don't care what he looks like. You can do better than this. Go ahead, Alex. Was that? No. I mean, her boyfriend. I mean, this feminist woman's. I don't know what he looks like, but I don't care. He should raise his standards.
Well, this is still female competition. I know that men are getting squeezed in the middle of it, but I'm guarantee this is about this whole presentation, this whole performance, the performance of a particular type of femininity being in conflict with the performance of her particular type of femininity, and only one shall reign supreme. Only one. What is it? The Highlander? There can be only
There can be only one. There can be only
one femininity. And they use all kinds of tactics, including insinuation that the man is somehow oppressing or abusing her, which is a really I didn't see the light leave her eyes, especially when she refers to it as my egg apron. Like, and this is what they do. They inject poison into people's perfectly happy, apparent relationships. If those relationships don't fall along the lines that they approve of, that provides them their bag, essentially. So this is just women arguing over bags. That's all that this is. She's just like, you don't deserve that. That's the wrong bag for you to have, lady. An egg bag. No, that's wrong. You shouldn't have that. You shouldn't want that. You shouldn't be in that scenario because it undermines my bag, which is whatever this is.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. I got a super chat or super chow rather from Disposition Guys, and he gives us $25. Thank you, Disposition, and says, I rarely get to catch you guys live, so I wanted to send you some support your way. You guys are saving lives out here. I don't know if I would have been able to heal as much as I have over the last few years without the Badgers. Without you guys, I don't know if I would have ever realized it's possible to have a positive identity as a man. Thanks again, and keep up all the great work. Well, thank you, Disposition Guy. It really means a lot that you sent that. Yeah, really awesome. I mean, I feel very strongly about masculine identity, and I have ever since I got involved with this, because I've seen a sickness basically running through our society, and it's targeting our men. So yeah, I'm glad that you are doing all right and that you're hanging in there. All right. Yeah. So
it's good to hear. It's nice to hear that we've helped. We've helped in some small way.
I just want to point out this look that she's got going on. I know it's going to seem petty, but I just got to point it out. It's not going to age well. Like, this is like, you know how it was really cool to like, clown on guys with mullets, like in the 2000s. Like, this is going to be that. Like, this right here. I don't know what she's going for, but like, what's with these this look, it just drives me up the wall. Nobody wears suits like this. Do you think you're being like, you're gender bending with this? I think she does. She mentions that she's queer, but also has a boyfriend. Queerness doesn't mean anything, guys. It doesn't. It's a political statement only. Okay,
well, like I said, it's a performance. Like, she is performing a certain type of femininity. Like, this is a femininity. This is not
new femininity with an NU.
New femininity, the new woman, which is interesting because I'm reading Bram Stoker's Dracula, and in one of Mina's one of his victims' diaries, she talks about being judged by the new woman, which I guess was emergent suffragettes in that time period or whatever, and how the new woman wouldn't appreciate the things that she does. And it's just interesting that even back then in the 1800s, they were still this was still a thing. Or actually, I guess it would be the 1800s, not the 1900s, or no, it would be the 1900s, not the 1800s. 1800s was different. Okay, it would be the 1900s. Okay, I got that. But anyway, it's just interesting how that conflict was still there then. Like, this conflict between these two types of femininity. Conflict, and women, like, when men get caught in this, they're caught in the crossfire, because this is an argument over how to structure the apportioning of resources. This is basically chimps throwing poop at each other, female chimps throwing poop at each other over a banana tree, except one chimp is just eating her bananas. The other ones are just throwing poop, and they couch it because they don't want to be seen as a bitch, right? This woman doesn't want to be seen as a bitch. So she constructs a threat narrative instead of against the woman. I really need to update my threat narrative series, but instead of constructing a threat narrative against the woman, she constructs a threat narrative against whatever is providing her the lifestyle that she has obviously chosen. Do you see that? Like, she, and it's, I mean, in this case, it's a man, but it could be a system. It could be a system. It could be whatever, but she's constructing a threat narrative because she's using this affectation of victimhood in order to delegitimate what this woman has constructed for herself. So she is actually attacking it And the reason why she does that is because she doesn't want to seem like a bitch. Like she could just totally mean girl all over this woman and say you're dragging down your sisters and you're a cunt and you just want blah blah blah. But it's hard because this woman seems like a very pleasant human being, right? And a very non-judgmental, maybe just humble and happy. So if you go for the direct attack, the direct threat narrative attack, it's going to be very difficult, right? You're going to look like a catty bitch. But so what you do is you go for the indirect attack and you construct a threat narrative around whatever it is that supports her. And then, but again, it's all just female competition. Men really don't figure into this, except that she wants to attack this egg apron lady, and she does not want to appear to be anti-female, even though
because she's a feminist, so she has to be pro-woman while attacking a woman, and the best way to do it is through a proxy, which is the man.
Yeah. But also, she's women tend to at least pretend to be on each other's sides, and they want to maintain that. And if you defy that, then you become a bad woman. So she wants to avoid that. So she wants to give the appearance of supporting the sisterhood while attacking this woman in an insidious, nefarious, and in many ways very cruel way. So mean girl.
Yeah. Okay, then let us get back to the video. I have the next time code up here, and we're going to go ahead and put that up and play it.
To Daniel. Bum, bum, bum. Daniel insists that he wanted to marry Hannah the moment he laid eyes on her, but that Hannah dodged his advances for 6 months. One day, when Hannah offhandedly mentioned her flight back to Juilliard, Daniel pulled strings at JetBlue, since his father was an owner, and made sure that he got the seat right next to hers, which is
so romantic.
Horrifying.
Well, is it? Because
horrifying.
Obama's wife, he courted her in a similar way for months. So if you find that horrifying, you're going to also have to find it horrifying for Obama. And I'm pretty sure that he's almost a saint in the canon of these individuals. You're thinking.
Well, it kind of pisses me off, but I mean, because there are women who find it romantic. I mean, obviously, I shouldn't even have to explain this. If she didn't think it was attractive, they wouldn't be married with a fucking, soccer team full of kids. They literally, it worked out, and she's still it's horrifying. Men, essentially what she's saying is men should not take steps to approach women under any, it's if she didn't want to be with him, she would have just said no. And maybe she would have called the cops if he was being aggressive or whatever. I doubt that. He probably thought, if I have a few minutes with her, I can sweep her off her feet. And apparently it worked out. So you're now trying to post hoc problematize this thing that worked out. And you're going to use this weird precedent of, hey, if you don't find this horrifying, then some other man might do this to some other woman in some other scenario that's completely hypothetical, and it could turn out to be really awful because that other man could turn out to actually be a really dangerous stalker / rapist or whatever. So she only calls it horrifying because she has a problem with men. That's the only reason. And no one else has this same feeling except for her and Rachel Ziegler. Those are the only people. Rachel Ziegler is the actress that's playing Snow White in the remake that thinks it's weird that Prince Charming, stalked her, which he didn't. He was trying to save her because she disappeared in the woods. But whatever.
What does dodged his advances mean? Does that mean he was unable to get a moment with her?
We don't know.
Figured it out?
I think that it's from an article where they're telling their story, right, of how they met and how they came to come together. Everybody likes a nice romantic story of people meeting, especially if their marriage becomes successful and it's fruitful in that they have all these children, they're all really happy and they're healthy and everything is great. But this is a problem because we can't have happy stories of men and women coming together and falling in love and having kids. That is not feminist, guys. Like I don't sorry,
It's
but
funny because they want to make a situation where if a woman consents to something in the moment and then withdraws her consent, it is the post event feeling that matters, right? So if it's negative, it's the post event feeling that matters. But if it's positive, only allow for the attitudes or the experience of women who support their particular viewpoint, and everything else is verboten. So if she had consented to all this prior, and then he did it, and then she said, I know that I consented in the moment, but now I feel bad about it for whatever reason, I'm sure this woman would support her getting some kind of redress for that, right?
sure.
Heart bomb, breach of promise, whatever, date rape, whatever. So, or date grape. So you see how that the woman's experience after it happens only matters when it's in line with her ideological perception. See what I'm saying? If
Yeah.
it isn't, then it's just disregarded. In this case, her experience after was positive. She married him. She had kids with him. They seemed very happy. You know, and obviously he listens to her because he got her, instead of something to impress all his buds in the online commentariat, he got her something that she actually asked for or dropped hints. There's no way that that's not the case when she said, oh, you got my apron, my possessive, not a apron or the apron or my apron, as in I was asking after this. I was laying down hints. I was showing you models on the freaking catwalk modeling this apron, whatever. You know what I mean? She wouldn't have referred to it in the possessive if that wasn't what she wanted. So he actually listens to what she wants. and again, instead of getting her something that all of these other women or his buddies in, I don't know, Wall Street would be like, oh, wow, that's quite the rock. Well, that's quite the vacation. That's so impressive. Instead of doing that, he actually listened and knew what his wife actually wanted. And she's problematizing that because it's not ideologically convenient.
Yeah.
And it's not ideologically convenient because she gets her bag in this way, which is, she thinks, incompatible with the way that this woman gets her bag. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
They both think they're after the same banana tree, or she thinks she's after the same banana tree as this other woman. So they have to fight over it. I don't know. Maybe what I'm saying is a bit confusing, or you're focused on something else. I don't know.
Well, I'm managing the chat and the video. I'm like looking at the time codes and I'm listening, but I am a little divided.
Okay, well, ask the chat. Chat, do you understand what I'm saying? This all comes down to two female chimps fighting over a banana tree. Well, actually just one female chimp who thinks this other female chimp in her eyes is after her bananas.
All right. I'll let them. Yeah, they'll probably comment once it catches up. But I'm going to play some more. This is the next clip. This one goes a little bit long, so we'll make a few pauses. And, because I want you guys to hear what she says. And remember, she's not just making a point. She's doing a bit. So.
The influence of religion.
Dinner's ready.
Okay, cool. You cannot analyze the.
I said dinner's ready.
Okay. I'm coming.
Oh, I gotta skip ahead. They do the whole prayer thing, and then she's obviously using this to crap on religion because she was raised in a Mormon household, and I guess that's demonic to her.
But I did devote almost 2 decades of my life to it. While I wasn't raised Mormon, I was taught many of the same values that Hannah was. And like Hannah, was on the receiving end of some very intense messaging, quite literally since birth.
So I'm a former Mormon tradwife. I have 6 kids.
So, okay, I'm going to jump ahead. So what she does here to sum up, because I grabbed this clip because I wanted to point out what she's doing tactically speaking. So you might have an opinion or two on Mormonism. I don't care about that. That's not important. What she's doing is Yeah, go ahead.
Can I make a prediction? She isn't getting the resources that she thought she would. And I don't just mean material, I just mean psychological or emotional. And therefore, this philosophy, now I don't necessarily agree with Mormonism, but I'm pretty sure, like most religions, it's an ethical, philosophical construct, which is about how to live your life in a good way, not how to get resources. And I'm guessing that, and I'm completely wrong, I haven't seen this before. I'm guessing that this is going to be how this lifestyle didn't serve her.
Yeah, ultimately. I mean, but the thing is, the reason why I say, well, it goes on because she plays testimonial TikTok videos from women claiming to be former Mormon tradwives, of which we cannot confirm or deny. We have to take their word for it. But she's not, okay, this is what's happening. If you want to criticize something and you want to like discredit it, okay? One thing you can do is you could look at all of the things that you take issue with that are bog standard for the thing that you're criticizing and say, this is why I'm not a fan. Like if I say, I don't like the body positive movement and the reason is because, you know, it's killing people, it's not healthy and pretending like it is, or making everybody else conform and like agree that you're actually healthy when you're not, is not helpful. And this is just, that's all it is. I'm not, but when I do that, I'm not criticizing like fat people in general, because I know that there are fat people. I am one of them that, you know, are trying to like do better, right? So I'm only talking about something that is specific and I'm keeping it to that. So what this woman wants to do is she wants to criticize all of Christianity, like all of it, like whether you're Catholic, Protestant, Orthodox, Baptist, Methodist, Jehovah's Witness, Mormon, whatever. But she can't do that. So instead, she goes after Mormonism and then says, this actually also applies. It's like this equivocation. This also could apply to this other broader group. And the thing is, I don't even know that that's true about what they say about Mormonism, at least in terms of the way it's framed, because I've met Mormons that live in my neighborhood. You know, Shad Diversity, the guy, he's, you know, what is it? The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I think that's Mormons, right? Or is that separate? I don't know. But he's a good guy, lots of kids, right? So, but the thing is, because feminism is inherently anti-Christian, because it was made that way by a cult, you know, by a cult thinking people, and they knew that using women was super effective. And there's plenty of data and writings on this stuff. Even Bram Stoker, by the way, you know, was kind of a part of it, which is interesting that you read his book, because Dracula was about like STDs or something. But anyway, so what this is really is a way, it's a tactic, okay? So some of you guys might say that you're not religious or whatever, but it doesn't matter, because what she's doing is she's using a small like subset or a personal experience to make a broad statement about anyone in the first world, because even if you aren't Christian, to her, you live in a Christian country, so you are just as culpable for her dissatisfaction with her life as someone who is a devout, you know, like fundamentalist. So and it's only Christianity, by the way, because you know, she would dare not criticize Islam, not just because she's afraid of the consequences, but because defending a religion like Islam or Judaism, that has a specific political cachet. It gives her political advantage in her criticism, so she doesn't do it. But Christianity, it's like, you know, it's open season. So that's it. I just made my case. So anyway, but I want to get to, so she got all these testimonies. I think the next thing is like 14 minutes in. Almost 15. So
we're not listening to the testimonies?
Do you want me to go back to that?
Yeah,
we can go back to that.
At least the one. I want to see if I'm right.
All right.
If it's all about how the lifestyle did not serve them. And so there's no sense of service to others at all.
Yeah, sure. All right.
And that's also interesting that it's a woman that sort of forced her into sitting down for supper.
Oh, she's playing the that character. So the trad
No,
wife is a character she's playing.
Yeah, but it's the trad wife that's forcing it on her, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know if that's because she didn't want to play a man, or she's trying to frame trad wives as kind of like this is like the dangerous part of them. Yeah, I suppose so.
Okay, let's keep going.
All right, let's keep going.
Quite literally since birth.
So I'm a former Mormon tradwife. I have 6 kids. I'm 38 years old. I don't have an education. I got married young. I had kids young. And I absolutely gave up on my hopes and dreams to choose the life that I have now. Now that I've been out of the church.
So you didn't.
What?
So I didn't get the life. I didn't get the life that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's about selfishness. It's like it's like, yes, you have embarked on a philosophy of life. It's not about how you get a good life. It's how you are good in your life. Like, it's how you live up to a standard of behavior. You know, this is what I've noticed with a lot of these women who are ex anything. It's like, oh, I did this thing and I was expecting a bag and then I didn't get the bag. You know, and it's like, well, that's not really what a philosophy is about. And also, do you deserve it? Like, really, if you just live your life doing what you're told, do you really deserve a life of freedom and self-actualization? Like, if you are a follower, you follow. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, why is she owed this life? Like, she's not owed. Like, no woman on earth,
nobody
is owed a life. You make it through your actions. And honestly, what's really baffling to me is this complete absence of any desire to see yourself in terms of service to others. Like, she's not talking about how the life didn't lead her to be able to serve others in the way that she wanted to. And yes, men, like the word man, the entire identity, man, is a sexual identity or a gender identity based on the idea of serving others. You are a man because you protect and provide for others. And here she is saying, well, my life didn't give me what I wanted. There's no concept of the idea that maybe your life should be about service, which is, I guess, Christian. But so you see what I mean? It's like men's very identity, built into men's identity, is service to others. You're not a man unless you protect and provide for others. You can see that. You can see that. We even have freaking studies on it now, proving it, right? But with women, everything is about their own benefit. Even though she's a mother now, she chose to bring in children into her life that are utterly reliant on her. And she still doesn't see herself in terms of service to others. That's an adult mindset, right? Okay,
Yep.
but let's hear how her life failed her, how her choices. Because if she's just doing this because other people told her to, why is she even owed a life of freedom? Like, did she choose it? Did she fight for it? Or did she just do the easy path?
I don't know. Let's listen.
Okay.
That I was never actually given a choice. It's not fair to show someone 10 candy bars and say, hey, you can choose this candy bar, which is the right candy bar that you should choose, or you can choose these 9, which are poisonous and deadly, and if they don't kill you, they're going to kill all of your friends and family members. What would you like to choose?
If you haven't had the experience of being raised in a conservative
Be independent
religion,
thinker.
that has a
Okay, look. A life of an independent thinker isn't something you're owed. It is something you choose by taking on the burden of opposing people, which is a burden. You honestly think bucking against the trend isn't difficult? That's why you didn't do it. That's why you chose not to do it. Nobody owes you the benefits of a life lived as an independent thinker. Nobody owes it to you. And the world doesn't owe it to you either. This is the life you chose for yourself. And now at 36, you're facing your death and you're thinking, well, what did I really do with my life? Well, you had kids.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, how are they doing, right?
Yeah, how are they doing? Oh, good Lord. Okay.
All right, play some more. So listen what she says.
It's also so
What-
feminine.
Yeah, it is.
Like she dresses up in this suit and she has no actual understanding of what masculinity is. Anyway.
Oh no, she's playing a queer role. She's totally like mixing it up, even though she's still acting like a girl. All right, let's go to the source here. So now remember what I pointed out. She starts off, we're talking about Mormons, maybe even a specific like radical branch, and now we're just talking about conservative Christians, conservative religions in general.
Strong emphasis on gender roles and preserving a patriarchal hierarchy, it can be hard to understand just how much every single aspect of your life is influenced by the mandates of the church.
As an ex
Oh,
Mormon
yeah,
woman,
and every
here's what I-
single aspect of my life is influenced by the mandates of feminism. Like everywhere I turn, there's an invitation to treat myself as a victim of shit instead of an agent in my own life, including this video, which is not challenging anything. Like literally feminism's effect over the last 80 years is to take the perception of women's agency and cut it in half. Like people don't see women as capable anymore because of feminism and its constant drumbeat of victimhood. And there is unbelievable pressure to kowtow to it, right? Well more than the Mormon church. It's freaking everywhere. And it is also in Christian denominations, this idea of inherent victimhood being womanhood. You try fighting that.
Feminism is a religion.
Mm.
All right, back to this.
It's also its own gender roles. Like literally feminism has the strictest and most insanely narrow gender roles in human history. At least we recognized women's agency in the past, but feminism literally reduces them down to something that's written upon while men are oppressors because they're the ones doing the writing no matter what. Even if it's good writing, it's still bad because men are doing the ones doing the writing. So men are inherently, to the end of time, till the heat death of the universe, oppressors, and women are inherently, till the heat death of the universe, what they act on, right? This is not, it's beyond a gender role. Like it's beyond wearing a skirt or a tie. It is to the point of like personal understanding that it's just insane. And how to perceive yourself. And they have struck such a strict dichotomy between men and women that they have no position to in any way judge any other group of people. Not when you basically conjecture that men and women aren't even the same type of existence. Like that's what they do. They're like men and women. They're fundamentally not the same type of existence. This is feminist gender roles. And then they're like, oh, look at you with your strict gender. But bitch, please. There ain't anything stricter gender roles than feminist gender roles. Okay. Sorry. I got feisty.
All right. Back to the video.
I think is getting lost in a lot of the discourse around the Times article about Ballerina Farm. It's been super invalidating to see a lot of
this
people
is
saying,
none
"How
of your
dare
fucking
we?"
business.
Isn't it funny that it just became this massive thing that I didn't know about until you watch like feminist and like female dating strategy content. All of a sudden it's like the only thing people are talking about.
It's none of your fucking business. Okay, well, let me see. Disempower a woman. All right, let's see. Let's see what she
All
has
right,
to
let
say.
me play the video. Okay.
Disempower a woman by suggesting that she cannot be happy making bread and making babies. It completely disregards the intense, every fiber of your being messaging that Mormon women and also many other Christian women get about their only value add to society is as wife, is as mother, is as homemaker.
Yeah,
These
well,
are
at least they
influence-
add value to society. What's the feminist messaging? If a woman adds value to society, then she's propping up the patriarchy. Literally, if women have any kind of standard outside of the self, they're propping up the patriarchy. So if women develop any aspect of their external sense of agency, feminists stomp on that with their giant boots. Like, and you guys don't even acknowledge it. Like, that's what it does. When you say, I am going to hold myself to an external standard, what happens? You develop your sense of self in relation to that external standard. You develop a sense of agency over your life and the world around you. That is developing an essential part of your personality. And anytime women do that, feminists stomp over and kick their shit over.
On top of that, she seems to be claiming that religion, and it's not only religion, but her case is that religion gives or has expectations of women. Does it also have expectations from men? Because I think it does. I think that if you say, oh, a woman has to be a mother and a wife and a homemaker or whatever, well, what does the man have to do? Because obviously we're basically doing the same thing that, when we have to like make the case that Islam does not hate their women. It's like the same thing. It's like, oh, look at all the things that women have to do. Yeah, but what do the men have to do? Do you even know? Like, because you don't care, because you don't see them. They're not people to you. You think like you're sitting there in your air-conditioned, home with plumbing and electricity and all this, and you're on the internet and you're wearing clothes and you're, online, like you have running water, you have plumbing, and you're like, women are forced to do all kinds of stuff. And it's not even forced. It's like they're married, therefore there's like a pressure, an invisible pressure to that enthralls them to like desire to have kids. Like, it's not something biological. It's purely gender roles making women do that, have kids and want to take care of their kids and want to take care of their men. But there's nothing on the men at all. Like, men, they don't have any, there's no rules. There's no expectations. I mean, you are living in Delulu land. You have no idea what it takes to maintain this fucking civilization that you are shitting on. Like, you are taking a shit on it. Okay, but let's hear the rest of her.
At the same time as women's participation in the capitalist hellscape is mandatory, according to feminism.
Yeah.
That are easy to shake off either. You can't just run out the doors, dye your hair green, get an adventurous piercing that later rejected, and move on with your life. Trust me, I tried that. And depending on your flavor of religion, the consequences for leaving, both in this life and the next, can be quite extreme.
I have a little bit of insight into this because I was...
Oh, good Lord. Like, it's just a bunch of harpies circling this woman. Let her live her fucking life. And it really is, like, I think it is the whole... oh, she has an external standard that she lives up to. That's really what they're reacting to, is that development of self based on personal agency. That's what I think they're reacting to. She's not acting like somebody that you shove rocks and diamond rings and vacations into. She's acting like a humble person who sees her worth in terms of her actions. And that's really pissing them off.
Yeah, they can't stand it.
Because the idea that women be judged along that metric, or that present themselves as worthwhile along that metric, strikes right to the heart of their identity as simply acted on. Like, they are victims. Like, every single one of these women, what is their primary statement in everything that they're saying? Victim, 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 victim. I am solely a response to men's actions. I am an emergent property of men's decisions. And then they have the audacity to say that other women are brainwashed.
All right. Next clip. The rest of this, I mean.
Raised Mormon. We are taught at a very, very young age what our roles are and how we
You don't think men aren't?
Into heaven. And as a woman, you have a uterus and you are there to populate the earth with as many Mormons as you can. Did you know that when a Mormon couple is married in the church, they're bound to each other, okay? But they're not just bound together in life, they are bound together in eternity. If she were to leave him, she would still be bound to him. However, she would lose.
I don't think that's uniquely Mormon. And I think it's really interesting that she keeps trying. It's this thing where you're not really complaining about Mormonism. You're complaining about marriage. You're complaining about men. You're complaining about family. And I think you're a weirdo. I think you're the weirdo.
Access.
Like the idea of marriage is supposed to be that you stay together until you die. Like that's the purpose of it. Now, if you don't think that's for you, then that's your business. But you're basically saying this shouldn't exist. Like women should be like me, like desire to be free, you know?
To her children in eternity. They would no longer be hers. They are his. They belong to him.
What?
For a devout Mormon, that is terrifying. It's so much deeper than she's just promoting traditional values.
So so you're saying that it's terrifying to lose your children in the afterlife. What about in the real life? Like honestly, like the overwhelming social and legal position is that men tend to have to abide by whatever women choose for custody. So you've just said that that's horrifying, and yet that's the reality in the greater culture. Seems like this is just a balance, if true. You might gain your children in the real life, but lose them in eternity by divorcing. And they don't think about that. They don't think about the pressure that's puts on men. It's just isn't even considered. And the reason why it isn't considered is because it encourages women to develop that aspect of themselves, that personal agency. I mean, how do you have a conversation about women's strengths or personal agency without a conversation about their impact on men? Right?
Yep.
Okay.
There are also gender roles imposed on men, but most of the time men just kind of they suck it up.
Mormon gender roles are pretty awful.
Absolutely.
Like especially on men. I mean, I've talked about it. Like they will throw out unwanted boys, and those boys end up on the streets, probably turning tricks or selling drugs. Like, woof, that's great for the boys, huh?
Well, let's keep going.
Been told to her whole life.
So, are you really making a fair choice if you believe one option will lead to you losing everything you love and damning your immortal soul?
Yes.
Amen.
Yes, you are still
Fellas.
making a choice. Unless you believe, like you can stop believing that.
Well, that's another thing too, Allison. This woman is making an argument as an outsider. Do you really think she's still a Mormon or Christian?
No.
I think she's obviously an atheist that hates religion. She's an anti-theist, in fact. And she's also using religion to make an argument. It's like, you can't do that. Like, you can't hold me to standards that you yourself don't hold yourself to. So you can't be like, oh my God, ladies, you're going to lose your immortal soul. Oh, by the way, I don't believe in any of that hokum, but you do. So I'm going to use this on you. So it's like she's abusing her audience by using arguments that in ideas that she doesn't actually hold. So it's disgusting.
The end result is women victim. That's it.
Yeah, well, that's the religion, right? That's the mantra. That's the the replacement for
You could even have a criticism of Mormonism that included the criticism of how they treat men, but they don't.
Well, that's not useful, because ultimately the thing is not about the thing. The thing is always about the revolution. So any vehicle they can use to attack the world, the patriarchy, men, society, whatever, that leads to the burning of it all down so that the phoenix can rise up from the ashes and rebuild a new history when they get to the end of it. It's all useful. It has nothing to do with rationality. It has nothing to do with, I mean, they believe it, they know that they're doing, they believe in it, but like our rational brains, nothing that we can say is going to make them change. Like, they don't care what we think. They know what they're doing, though. So anyway.
Okay. Well, when I point something out, they're not going to get very far if they can't figure out how to harness the thing that creates societies and makes them productive, which is the relationship between men and women.
Yep.
Like, this is not a productive. This feminist construction of the relationship between men and women does not conducive to a cooperative relationship that produces a civilization and a productive civilization. It's not conducive. It's only conducive to smashing one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's the next?
All right, let's go. There's a little bit left in this one.
Is it okay to feel bad for rich, white, cis, straight, able-bodied women? That's like a super loaded question.
Yeah, well, she's still intersectional, so we gotta and obviously she doesn't care, right? This is why these are useful people to attack, because she doesn't actually care about them. All right, let's go to, I think it's here, where she talks about this woman who makes everything from scratch and puts it on TikTok. Now, I'm just going to say for the record, I think that women, whether they say that they're trad or whatever, if they're making lots of videos supposed on social media, most likely they're doing it for social media, at least in part. They may actually be cooking meals for their family, but they are also trying to get attention and build a brand of their own. So I'm not going to pretend like this is totally innocent and a woman was just slaving away in her kitchen and somebody with a phone just walked in on them and started taping them. Like, obviously they planned it all out and they edited it and everything, but that's their business. I'm not hating. That's their business.
Like, how is this different than a guy showing his carpentry work?
Yeah. Or you know, there's like a video of there's a channel where these guys, they're called the Butcher Brothers, and all they do is they show you how to cut. They're like, you know, these two big bearded butchers is actually called bearded butchers. These two bearded dudes, and they're just cutting up, you know, like beef and steaks, and they're showing you what they are and how they're cutting it. And their videos go super viral. It's just like a couple of guys cutting meat, or guys who are like cutting things with katanas. It's the same thing, you know?
Yeah. It's just girl stuff.
Yeah, these are just girly things.
Being productive.
Just feminist
Using
things.
their actions to create something delicious.
Yeah. All right, let's listen to this bit.
When I asked my toddlers what they wanted for lunch, they both wanted a grilled cheese. So that's exactly what I got started on. And the kids absolutely devoured this.
I bet they did. They had to wait 2 business days for lunch. The camera is not a passive observer. It's an active participant. Nara's kids couldn't get...
Yeah, I know. She hates that this woman, let's assume it's true, okay? She hates that this woman took the time to actually make her kids a grilled cheese sandwiches from scratch.
It also is implying that she's neglectful by saying they had to wait for so long to eat.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. It's super petty.
And the camera is not a passive observer. Okay, let us enter the world of the courtship between women and the camera. Let's see what she has to say. Because I mentioned this. Like, I'm telling you guys, these are pearls. Like, this is what's actually going on in these women's heads. Lots of conflict with each other over because there's just one banana tree. And that's the thing about feminism. The thing
you know what she's really mad about? That woman made a sandwich.
Yeah. There's one banana tree in feminism, right? There's just one. And only feminist women are allowed to have it. No other women are allowed to have it. Okay. There can't be multiple banana trees. There can't be a banana tree and an apple tree or a pear tree. No, there's only the banana tree, and you're only allowed to be a feminist to have it. That's what this is all comes down to. They want particular resources. I mean, this is more when you explain this for men and you say, well, male feminists, you know what they're after, right? Okay, they're after reproductive opportunities. These women are after resource opportunities and preventing other women from exploiting their resources or controlling the distribution of resources and being the ones who do so. That it's all about resources. But let's hear what she has to say.
All right, we're gonna go back to the video here.
less of a that their mom made the bread and cheese for their sandwiches. It's all for you, the viewer. There's a reason you don't see tradwife influencers cleaning stains out of shirts, scrubbing toilets, or... Nancy.
That was a bit. I'm going to jump ahead to the next
She's not
time
funny.
code.
But yeah, that's interesting because she's acknowledging that it's for the camera. Yeah, so what? It's for the camera, so is yours. Like you are doing something for the camera. You are abdicating your agency as a woman and accentuating your broken feet in order to say, I can't walk. That's what this entire thing is about, is an affectation of victimhood. And an affectation of victimhood on behalf of women who are not even you. You know, like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm being too rarefied today.
No, that's okay. I'm going to play the next clip.
Not all tradwife influencers are created equal. Some, like Hannah and Nara, simply film a curated view of the gender roles their faith dictates. Others use their platforms to directly promote marital submission as prescribed in religious texts like the Bible. And then there are those that simply throw on an apron for a few minutes to farm engagement. But all of these women contribute to a growing body of content that either implicitly or explicitly promotes the idea that a woman's place is in the home, that her delicate femininity can only survive within its walls. The tradwife
You live in a home and you exist within the same home as the tradwives.
Do you also clean your home? Do you also do your laundry?
Well, but do you do your roofing? Do you fix your sewers? Are you up on a freaking pole fixing the lines? No. You exist within the same home that they do. You have this, like, this is the thing. Like, she is in the same nest as a homemaker. She only goes to work because work now for a great many of people is not incredibly physical like it was for most of human history, or involved incredible danger like it did for most of human history. Like, it's not that you left the home, it's that the home expanded and you're still in it. Like, would she want to go do, when the majority of jobs were labor out in the hot sun with no mosquito repellent? Like, she wouldn't be doing those. She would be at home because that's where it's comfortable. Now that work is comfortable, there are more women in it because it's not because they've come to work. It's because they've brought home to work, to these other spaces where it didn't used to exist. Like, what I'm trying to get at is she is not, like, nothing about her indicates that she is anything but delicate herself. Anything but requiring.
She just doesn't. She's just not wearing the skin of that.
No, even that, what she's wearing indicates delicacy. Do you think people wear suits when they dig ditches?
No, but I mean, I think that she thinks that. Like,
oh, yeah, she thinks it's the performance.
Yes.
She thinks that she's looking tough.
Theater kids.
She is living in exactly the same climate-controlled, delicate nest as a homemaker, and she's saying, "Oh, well, look at her. They're so so are you. You are very delicate. You are playing a particular role, which is woman as victim of the system, delicate, fragile, possibly going to work and being victimized by the temperature of the air conditioning. Like, this is, don't give me this shit. You are no different, except they are at least providing something to their families. You live in the same harem, lady. You live in the same harem." Okay.
All right, I got a super chat
I feel like
from Richard
I'm
Bier.
usually confusing today.
No, you're not usually confusing, but you're strangely hostile. Not to me, but to, like, the video. Richard Bier gives us $5 and says, "Well, the men crafting videos don't have the men doing the work in formal evening wear, though." All right, thank you for that. $5, Richard. Let's get back to the video.
Strangely hostile.
Yeah.
Is a paradox, promoting a simple domestic life while she herself enjoys the freedom of expression and financial independence that women were denied for centuries. These women aren't traditional.
They were not. Women have worked.
She said they were for centuries, Allison. She said so. It must be true.
Like, it's okay.
Just repeat the lie until it becomes the truth.
Decade in which men could afford to let their wives live at home and pursue whatever philosophical or craft or artistic endeavors they want, and women will never forgive men for that. One decade where women didn't actually have to do work. One decade. And nobody's ever going to forgive men for it. Ever. This is bullshit. Women have worked throughout all of human history. And believe me, a homesteader's, maybe not a homemaker, but a homesteader's work is
Yeah.
Well, no, actually, what am I saying? She's a mouthpiece for the necessary guilt that keeps the system running, because it is, in the end of the day, about guilting men in order for them to continue to invest in making the system run. Like, this is all she is. She's the whip in a slave owner's or a slave master's hand. Get working. Feel the guilt. Feel the lash, and that's it. That's all she is. This is what's okay. Why I'm so strangely hostile to this is a person LARPing as what I am. She's LARPing as me. She hasn't done the work to really understand the truth about gender roles and what is really happening. Either she doesn't have the intelligence or she just doesn't have the will.
Or she's getting paid.
Turned what I am into a performance. So I'm basically watching like a fucking Sambo version of
a minstrel show.
A minstrel show of myself. And yes, I am strangely hostile towards that. Like, she doesn't evince any of the deeper qualities, like the deeper questions. Like, what is this? What is really happening here? What are the real true gender roles? And I can tell you that the true gender roles in our society, the overwhelming ones, are that women flatten themselves into a single solitary dimension to be written on. And then as the process of doing so, of affecting this victimhood, is used to drive guilt for men, actually shame at this point, so that men continue to feel like they have to earn an identity through action in the system, through contributing to the system. That's it. And all she is a point of guilt. That's it. She's just a dispensary for a single emotion, which, again, it's no longer guilt. It's now shame, because we no longer allow for a unique identity that men can earn through their actions in the greater society. We don't do that anymore. So
no,
she's got no other purpose, no other real, like, there's no there. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Everything about turning women into victims in order to guilt men into their investing in the system.
Mm-hmm.
They never question that. They never see it because they aren't really gender queer. They aren't really gender fluid. They're just actors. Theater kids.
Yeah. An identity without an essence. All right, so I got a super chat from Albert Nader Retro for $2. He says, hello. And then he gave another one for $2 Canadian and says, a hostile badger, no way. And then I got a super chow from Anonymous, and he says, for $5, I fap to harems. All right. Thank you for that. Good to know.
Okay.
Good to know.
This is why I say it's theater kids against artists. You know, these are the things that go through my fucking mind when I'm sitting over and slaving over a painting or trying to get writing to work. This is the shit. You know, you're right in for your fucking subconscious thinking about these things. And this is what bubbles out. And theater kids are just like, what can I perform today? Oh, I'm going to get an audience. I'm going to get an applause. Okay.
All right, I'm going to play. There's only 40 seconds left in this clip, so.
They're business owners LARPing the 1950s. Just like your average nerd wants to get hammered and run around Ren Fair in chainmail without contracting the bubonic plague, these women want to wear vintage clothing and promote vintage ideals without acknowledging the troubling history behind the aesthetic. Because as much as conservatives bemoan the loss of high-value women posting montages of the good old days with vaguely racist undertones, the perfect housewives of
what a bullshit. Like, to throw that in there really upsets me too. Vaguely racist undertones? Oh my god, these people are insufferable. Okay, anyway, let me finish this.
Past
Yes.
were famously
Preach about your
subjected
religion.
to lobotomies or had to sedate
What?
themselves with barbiturates just to tolerate their lives.
What are you fucking talking about?
Yeah, we used to lobotomize women all the time, and then we used to put them on pills and medication to keep them sane. Good thing we don't do that anymore.
God damn.
I mean, like, women aren't on pills these days, right? And they're doing it of their own volition.
Okay, so they get medicated for anxiety disorders. Oh my god, that's That's definitely a condemnation
It's
of something.
oppression. It's oppression. Women
Right.
shouldn't feel anxiety. Men do that to them, therefore they need to be medicated. And men also benefit because men are also big pharma or something. But like, how many women are on SSRIs right now? Like, I'm sorry, it just.
How many
whatever.
women insisted that certain people have to go through medical procedures against their will?
Yeah, how
To
many
save
women?
grandma.
Yep, to save
Okay.
grandma. All right, let's get back to the video. I have the next time code here. So we're getting through them pretty quick. 1831.
That's a surprise despite my hostility. But I think I put my finger on it. It's like a minstrel show.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, you
So,
said that.
Well, I mean, I knew what you were getting at. You said Sambo, I think, but
You
okay.
understand my language now.
I do.
It's just when I see the commentary surrounding these tradwife accounts,
You're so
I
jealous.
can't help but
She's
feel
after your
like
banana
the more
tree.
this content is popularized, the more efforts for women's equality will begin to erode because
You see what
this
I'm
has
saying?
happened before.
Yeah. No, I
sees
know.
people
She
after
doesn't-
her banana tree.
See, feminists want women to be free to choose their lifestyle until they actually choose their lifestyle. And then it's like, you can't not like that. Like, these women are saying,
working.
you are amazingly inspiring about the Tradwife videos. Not enough of them about now. I don't know what that means. I guess not enough Tradwives. I want to be a housewife in the 50s so bad. Again, that just sounds like I like that aesthetic. It doesn't mean I have read the history and want to live in a time before
Maybe
all
it
the
does.
modern
Maybe she's
conveniences.
actually
Yeah,
based.
but she might be. But like, what even? Like, are you serious? You want to give up your phone? No. You just want the aesthetic. You want the clothes. You want the hair. You want, because like there was like a, I would say a sugar coated version, because I don't think the 50s were that great. But there's a lot of other reasons, had nothing to do with fucking women and women's rights. I hate working. For real, I just want to be a housewife. I'm 14 and I want to be a housewife. Oh, that last one, that really bothers her, right? Oh my God, I was hoping I would groom you to being a feminist, and now I can't. All right, the rest of this.
4. Writer and activist Betty Friedan noticed a bizarre phenomenon that swept the United States during the 50s and 60s.
So she says, I just want to make sure, because I the pause. She said that she's afraid of the influence that this Tradwife thing is having on women, because she's going to bring up this historical parallel, I guess, that has something to do with Betty Friedan. So do you know Betty Friedan, right? We all know. You guys know Betty Friedan. Okay. So I'm going to play some of this. She's just like leading into the Betty Friedan thing. So let's hear it out.
Despite the leaps in progress made for women's rights in the preceding decades, young girls were suddenly retreating back into the home, getting married younger than ever, having more children than ever, with no other aspiration outside the role of housewife.
Wait a minute. So
So
what does
there
it
was-
mean? What do you know? When she says having more children than ever, like, what are you comparing that to?
The past, and honestly, this is a very interesting framing. So women had the opportunity for liberation and then chose the home, which is entirely consistent with the gender equality paradox, where you give women the choice and they actually prefer their gender role and to stay home. That doesn't mean that there's necessarily equality, but if you give women the choice, that's what they choose, right? And this is what she's demonstrated. They got the choice, and that's what they chose, right? But somehow, despite the fact that when you give women the choice and they choose that, because literally that is what she's saying. She's saying that there was liberation in the decades prior to the 50s and 60s, and a whole wave of women chose to go back home, right? When you give women the choice, that proves that what preceded it was unlikely to be oppression. Like, slaves don't usually have a choice. And when they do, they usually choose not slavery. Okay? So the real problem here is that all of this undermines the feminist ideological explanation for reality.
Yep.
It's against her religion. It's against her strict gender roles, and it's against her framing of history and the past. Which,
And her
you know,
prescription for living.
yeah. And if you think about it, when you say that she's paid to do it, it's possible that that's the case, because you need a lot of women buying into this in order to generate the guilt and shame necessary to keep men buying into the society. Like to keep saying, okay, so what happens is you shame men out of an identity, then they seek one, and they seek one through the process of investing in our society, basically. Like they're trying to develop a sense of self through earning money, through getting a job, all of that kind of stuff. But you need these women shaming men, guilting men, stripping men of a natural identity in order to hasten this process along. Which, incidentally, I mean, I think that even if you didn't do this, what you'd end up with is men who do actually want to provide and protect, but are more autonomous about it, if that makes sense. They're more about deciding who they're going to provide and protect for, what they're going to invest in, that kind of stuff. Okay, but anyway, that's a long aside. It's basically, it comes down to she thinks somebody's after her banana tree.
Yeah, just like before. Okay, so I got a couple super chats. Albernator Retro gave us a super chat for $2 Canadian and says, Brian, language soundbite.
Language.
And then he gives us $5 Canadian and says, I can't believe poor Jack drowned for this, and my heart will go on and on. Put your finger on it after the stream, Allison. This is a family show. I don't know what that means, but okay. And then $5 Canadian again from Albernator Retro, and he says, 14 groom feminist. What is the vagina monologues, Alex? All right, thank you for that. And let's watch some more of this little bit. Betty Friedan clip. There's just a few more seconds, or 10 seconds or so.
Despite what Mary Poppins might imply, the protests for women's suffrage were
this is great.
choreography and frilly
This is good
petticoats.
false history
Women
right here.
starved themselves, were imprisoned, and even killed fighting for their rights to vote, to work, and to be educated.
No, they weren't.
Pretty sure that woman just fucked up and died. I don't think nobody tried to kill her.
No,
she did something stupid and died. But in fact, what?
The people who died in that whole thing were people who the suffragettes targeted for violence. Like, and then the accidental death being trampled. And also, so women died for, no, they didn't. They didn't. Men died for the vote. And in fact, men had to die before they were even considered for the vote. They had to actually show that they were invested in the culture that they were part of, up to sacrificing their lives to protect it before they were even considered for the vote. Not so for women. So even though feminine or suffragettes, they didn't die for the vote. Well, first of all, they didn't die, period. But second of all, they died protesting and engaging in treason against the society that they wanted to have a say. Terrorism against the society they wanted to have a say in. There's a big difference. Men had to die in service of protecting the society they wanted to have a say in. Suffragettes killed other people in terrorist acts against the society they wanted to have a say in. Yeah, these are not admirable people by any stretch of the imagination. And what they were asking for, or demanding, actually, when you're a terrorist, you make demands. What they were demanding was a deal that men never got. And they got it. And they'll never forgive men for it.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, let's watch some more. Switching back to worse.
Women in recent memory had suffered so much. How could their own daughters and granddaughters flee from such dearly won freedom? What happened? Friedan describes a creeping influence.
What happened? They couldn't be making a free choice.
No. Let's listen to the rest of this. This is like another 30 seconds.
Slowly but surely, the stories of brave heroines pursuing success and reports on world affairs were choked out of women's magazines by advice columns on happy marriages, sandwiched between ads for vacuum cleaners. Women's college attendance plummeted, and of those who did graduate, few went on to pursue a career. Why should they? The very educators whose responsibility it was to foster their intellect were the ones telling them over and over again that they would have to choose between having a family and having a job. The memory of the suffrage.
Are you fucking kidding? And this is after you sent a couple generations of men to die for this society. And then, God forbid, they come back to a job and being able to go to school. That's why the enrollment of women plummeted, supposedly, in like the 50s and 60s, because men were given the ability to go to college in thank you for their service in wartime. And then they were given a job because they had just made the ultimate sacrifice for keeping your society running. And this is the reward for all of that. This.
Yep. Albernated Retro gave us $5 and said the only suffragette that died did so trying to pin something on a horse during a race like the Kentucky Derby or something. Yeah, that was the photo in the video. All right, let's get back to the video.
Suffragette was distorted into an ugly, bitter spinster who compromised her own womanhood by demanding the same rights as men.
Actually, that's right on point. I like the band that says "Me wear pants."
Well, he's not wearing pants.
Unfamiliar. Women weren't forced into the home. They were gently lured back inside through the combined efforts of advertisers, academics, and politicians who all benefited from
idiot. Okay, so the suffragette stuff happened in the prior to the 20s. And now you're saying that it had something to do with women's choices in the 50s and 60s? Are you fucking mental? The anti-suffragette campaigns, which were primarily driven by women, maybe a male figurehead, they happened decades before you're saying they had an effect. Like,
but they use advertising and capitalism to like drag women back to the kitchen where they belong. Anyway, let's get to the video. This is her narrative. I'm just trying to translate from, her goony language. All right, let's hear it.
Maintaining the status quo that suffragettes had upset. They sold women an idea that Friedan coined the feminine mystique, the title of her book. Ugh. That's right. I'm one of those YouTubers who has books in their videos now. Friedan defines the feminine mystique as the assumption that women can find fulfillment through marriage and motherhood alone. But in her own experience, and the experience of countless other housewives across the country, even amongst the most socially privileged, this traditional position left them with intense feelings of dissatisfaction, fatigue, and general unhappiness. Now,
it's called boredom. They were part of a group of people with the greatest amount of leisure time in all of human history. Let's be frank. Because their men were buying robotic servants to reduce their household labor from like a 12-hour a day, 6-day-a-week job to 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, realistically. Which is also why people could now, there was a point in time where it was extremely difficult to maintain a household and a job at the same time. Because a household was a job. Now we have a situation where you don't need a female housekeeper or a wife or a spinster sister to maintain your house. You, as a man, you can have your own home and use these machines to run it. Okay? So the point is that this became something that gave women a lot of leisure. And for whatever reason, they went nuts. Maybe because of that statement, idle hands are the devil's work, or...
idle hands are the devil's playground.
Idle hands are the devil's playground. What she's described... okay, what was it? tiredness, distress. Wow, geez, like that's every morning for me. Jeez,
Why is
like,
life
wow.
so hard?
Why is life so hard? My husband has given me an extra. Let's see.
It's like that meme of that angry fat black kid. It's like, why does shit cost money?
My husband has given me an extra 70 hours a week to do whatever I want with. How dare so oppress? Like, god damn.
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't women paint, write, do philosophy, reinvent civilization like the freaking Greek philosophers? No, they had to do this.
Yep.
Ugh.
All right, let's do more. I got another super chat rather. Albert Nader Retro gives us $2 Canadian, says they weren't starved, they went on a hunger strike. Yes, we know she's lying. I don't know if you noticed, but she's either lying or misinformed. Either way, that is what it is. Okay, next clip is right here.
To be clear, the feminine mystique has its serious blind spots. And when I say serious, I mean serious.
Of course, she has to say this. I just wanted to point this out. So, like, when feminists reference feminists of the second, wave or before, they have to put these caveats in because they're operating in their own minefield. Imagine you are trying to make an argument that you think would apply to the audience, but you also have to acknowledge that you have an audience that hates everything that happened yesterday and before, and they always look for problematic things in any figure, even the ones that you promote. So Betty Friedan is engaging in white feminism, which is what she puts on the screen, and the Lavender Menace, which I think is a reference to LGBT, Q stuff that probably someone like Betty Friedan had a problem with because different time, different standards. So she has to say, don't hang me on by the noose. Don't bring me to the guillotine, because I am, in fact, saying that she's got problems and these are the problems because I'm a good liberal and I do as I'm told. Please don't kill me or cancel me. By the way, she also has some good points and I really want to bring them forward, but I want you to stop focusing on this. And that's what it is. It's so pathetic. Like, nobody can be direct. Nobody can just say what they think. It's so pathetic to see, and it's really feminine. But anyway, Albert Dana Retro gave us another $2 Canadian, says idle hands do the devil's work. Okay. All
right, wait before we continue, how do they square this with trans women? Like, trans women want to be women, or they perceive themselves as being women, but what is it that they are trying to embrace? Like,
trans women or the feminists?
No, trans women. Like, when feminists embrace trans women, how do they square that with women's role is one of oppression? And I mean, because you have women's role in society, which is, of course, oppression. There's no other salient characteristic to women's role or being a woman except giving birth and having, and trans women can't do that. So what is it that they are after is what I'm getting at.
Trans women?
Yeah.
I think I don't want to speak for trans women, but I think they're engaging in the same game of Magic the Gathering of identities that feminists are. They just think they have the winning hand. They think they have the appropriate mana. I don't know. Okay, so another super chat from Albert Nader Retro, $2 Canadian. He says, sorry, you were right, Devil's Playground. I know. Pepito Spezugidi. Thank you, Pepito Spezugidi. Says, first time donor, thank you, A and B, for $5. Thank you, Pepito. All right, so let's get back to this.
Yeah, how many more 10 codes do we have here?
I have
nothing new except the fact that this apron gate has freaked out so many feminists.
Yeah, I know. There's one more. There's two left. Okay, so two time codes.
But the warnings in this book are unfortunately as relevant today as they were in 1963. That the packaging for patriarchal values can be...
See, that's really clever what she does. So she says this woman was a problematic white feminist that was homophobic, transphobic, whatever, right? Because she was from the 60s. But you see, her book is still relevant because the problems that I agree with have still exist to this day, which is extra sad because patriarchy is super effective. And so she can like claim that. I know that it would seem like she's really problematic, but look, her work is more necessary than ever because nothing's changed, because everything is awful all the time. So just, you know.
Yeah,
Polino Casarati. Thank you, Polino Casarati. He just corrected my pronunciation.
Wants to be in the home and raising their kids. Like, it's almost like it's
Yeah.
biological.
It's almost like, why hasn't the society and population completely collapsed? Why am I here existing as a woman if Betty Friedan's work wasn't, you know, it didn't see like any fruit? How are we still here? Just to suffer. Okay, anyway, back to this.
Very pretty. In fact, they can be presented as reaffirming women's femininity, protecting them from the harshness of the outside world. Women
You
should
are
insure themselves.
protected. Like, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely flippin' ridiculous. You are protected by the harshness from the outside world. You are. You're speaking from a fucking harem. I mean, it's not, it isn't quite, it's more distributed. It's a little bit more systemic than an actual harem. But she's literally speaking from an environment constructed by men's labor. And the fact that men will willingly take jobs that are much more difficult, dangerous, and uncomfortable than women will. So she's literally speaking from the world constructed by men with the time allowed for by the innovations in maintaining the home, also mostly constructed by men. And she's talking about how these other women who are living in exactly the same circumstances as her are somehow more fragile. Like, look at you. You don't have the shoulders of somebody who shovels concrete, lady. Like, seriously, stop beaking off, harem girl.
All right, let's watch some more. There's more to this clip, about 20 seconds, and then there's one more clip.
Lucky that they get to stay home and fulfill their biological destiny while men, I don't know, explore the stars. As Friedan puts it, protectiveness has often muffled the sound of doors closing against women.
Wait a second.
Are you fucking kidding me? What the?
Yeah, men. Did you know, Allison? I was in space just yesterday. I was just in the stars, in orbit, hanging out, because that's what men do. We can go to space. We can go to Narnia. Women, you just gotta stay in the kitchen. Sorry, I'm off to Middle Earth to help the hobbits. Stay here. I expect 5 sandwiches of different varieties when I return. Goodbye, Allison. I'm off to another adventure. But that's what she's claiming. Like, it's like she's framing it like women have to do these things. Men, whatever. They can do it. They can just go. I'm going to go to the center of the earth and fight dinosaurs. I'll see you later, Allison. I got my ray gun and my electric whip.
Okay. All right, lady. The reason why women want to stay home is work sucks. How can you simultaneously call it wage slavery in a capitalist system of exploitation and be confused that women are like, yeah, hey, Ted, I'm going to shove you in front of it. You know, I'm going to shove you. You do that instead of me. You can pay for me. Like, what? Like, how do you not understand that? It's because feminism sold this freaking bill of goods. Work sucks. That's why people pay you to do it. It's as simple as that. And if women have the option not to do it, they'll take it. I mean, I know you got some weird freaking scheme up your where everybody is going to get money, like the Federal Reserve is going to just print money for everybody, and then they won't have to work, right? And then we'll all just be floating on cloud 9, spending money on what? Since nobody's working and producing anything. like this is just complete delusion. 2.1 million viewers.
You know, it's
completely deluded.
Yeah.
Like not even existing in the fucking world.
Does she think that her boyfriend leaves like when they're like he's like, I'm going out, see you later, I'm gonna go hang out with my friends, or I'm gonna go do my job, and then he leaves and she imagines him pulling the sword from the stone, leading the charge against the orcs, you know, like she just thinks that he's out there having more fun than she is. That's really what this comes down to. She's mad that she thinks that people are enjoying their lives somewhere, and that even though she's obviously not doing the Tradwife thing, she's not. You know, her boyfriend needs to dump her and get out of there. I'm telling you, she's gonna be the death of him.
Like seriously, most work sucks, and in fact, going to the stars also really sucked. She doesn't even know how many men died in all the test programs for even developing the modern space program. They were dying constantly in crashes, testing these prototypes. And without that, we would never have the airline industry, much less the modern space program.
Mm-hmm.
Like seriously, you don't know what you're talking about.
Her boyfriend is somewhere defusing a bomb.
You know, it's so funny. It's so freaking funny. It's so because women like this, they exist in the most rarefied layer of the harem, where they're basically swaddled like eggs, and nobody even breathes on them. They have no conception of anything that occurs outside of them because they are so protected, so delicate, so incapable. And their entire life revolves around expressing how much of a victim they are of everything, right? She lives in the most cosseted place imaginable. She is more cosseted than the woman with the egg apron or the Mormon wives who are actually doing shit because they understand risk. They've gone through childbirth. Like they understand work. They've had to take care of kids. They understand, being productive. They're running a farm. She lives as a harem girl in the wing of the harem marked particularly fragile. And because of that, because she's so cosseted, she does not understand how the world works at all. Like she doesn't understand the sacrifices necessary to maintain her world. She doesn't understand the sacrifices necessary to have gotten into space. And the fact that if newspapers had to announce every other day a woman dying, people wouldn't have allowed it. They wouldn't have funded it. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Especially back then. Every other day another woman dies in order to get into space? No, they wouldn't have tolerated it. I mean, what did the Challenger disaster do? Didn't that put NASA back quite a bit?
Yeah, I think it did.
And so, I mean, it's like they wouldn't have tolerated it because it required sacrifice of lives to get to this point of safety that you could even start bringing women into it. And she doesn't even know that. She is so cosseted. It's like, it's one thing to be a harem girl sitting on a pillow, but sort of understand what happens outside the harem. You know what I mean? You sort of, you're like, you have to, because you're part of the bureaucratic apparatus, you actually have to listen to what men are doing and how to apportion resources. It's another thing when a civilization gets so up its rear end that the harem girls aren't even aware that they're in a harem and what is required to maintain it. That's where she is.
Yep.
Okay.
Allison, I have to get the door. Do you mind? I'm going to step away for a second, but do you mind talking about the fundraiser real quick while I'm? Ask people to send super chats and stuff. Okay.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna be doing that. Okay. So we are still doing the fundraiser. We only have a few days left, guys. Please support us in doing this. I just want to get back into it, so I'm trying to bring everybody together. I know it's a little bit more late notice, but it's just been the way it has fallen out with everybody's schedules. So I want to get this started again. feedthebadger.com/events. Please support it because I think it's really important to start getting into the swing of doing in-person things. Hopefully I'll be able to do it again next year. Maybe we'll have more notice. Maybe we'll be able to do a bit more. We won't necessarily have it at the same date as the Center for Men and Families this event, so we can coordinate that a bit better. But yeah, and again, it's going to be the 28th, so mark that on the calendars. 28th of September this year, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. If you want more information, feedthebadger.com/events. I'll keep that updated, and help us out with that. I will see if there's any additional super chows. If you do want to send a super chow, it's at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. All right. Yep.
Yay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I got some super chats. Somebody sent something. Yeah. So, Albernator Retro says for $5, it's Canadian again. Nothing has changed. Nothing. You just don't turn it off. Women are still treated like chattel that men died to keep safe. Get a clue, you silly folks.
Women were still viewed as chattel.
And then NovaFan21 gives us $1 and says, I'd say I want to see the feminist reaction to modern women complaining about working, but I've already seen how second wave feminists react to housewives. And then the last one, I got another super chat from Pepito. He says, Foundraiser, and gives us $5. Thank you, Pepito.
Foundraiser.
Pepito.
If you want to support the fundraiser, you do have to go to feedthebadger.com/events, not just on YouTube, because that goes through YouTube's freaking money sieve. We like they take half of it, so
yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
But
great,
you're new here, so we forgive. But yeah, thank you for
thank you for the
support. All right, so let me play the rest of this. We're actually almost done here. There's like, well, it's a long clip because this is her thesis. This is her money shot, I think. So
finally,
here we go.
I know what you are.
Say it out loud. Say it.
A feminist.
And it's at this point that I am forced to acknowledge that I am.
No shit.
Yes. Yeah, no shit. I
plot twist.
So notice when you started forcing very restrictive gender roles on people.
If I is M. Night Shyamalan in this video somewhere and I just didn't see it because I did not see that twist coming. All right, let's hear what she has to say about that. Give me a second here. Hold on.
Am the traditionalists' worst nightmare, the thing that makes them toss and turn at night, terrified that their daughters will turn into a hairy, opinionated, tattooed, gender nonconforming, unmarried freak with too many piercings that lives alone with their cat.
We're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies.
But worst of all, a feminist, a man-hater who draws unsuspecting girls to their doom with my siren's call, hell-bent on destroying the country.
But don't worry, you can kill them by...
This is their thesis, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what she wants us to know. And, you ever notice how much pleasure feminists take in essentially talking about how dangerous they are, and they think they're doing it in a completely sarcastic tone. Like, there is no way that anyone could believe that I have it out for society while also doing everything that would lead people to believe that you're trying to tear everything down.
Okay, wait. Okay, I'm going to go deep. She is actually the primary support for the currency regime that we're part of. I'm gonna say that.
Well, she is, obviously. Yes. Like, I'm telling you, like, literally, the Democrat Party and Planned Parenthood give shit tons of money to female influencers to go online and spread feminist propaganda. I'm sure that she's getting paid. Like, those videos don't look cheap. And I don't think she's doing it by herself. So she totally is supporting the regime.
Yeah, no, but it's deeper than that. Like, it's deeper. What she's doing and the actions she's taking are actually supporting money having value. Okay, I'm going to put it out there. I'm just going to put it out there. I'm going to walk away from that. She is supporting the well, not necessarily the capitalist regime, but the currency regime. Like, this is her role. Like, that's what she's doing. And in that sense, like, she's also, the problem is that moving money around, the destruction of the family moves more money around. So there you go. Like, she's part of she is a mouthpiece of the man.
Yes, but the man agrees with her. She thinks that she's the upstart.
Yes.
Like when she says, I'm a traditionalist or a conservative person's worst nightmare, she thinks the conservatives are the status quo, but they're not. They're the rebels. They're the upstarts. They are the radicals over there falling in love and starting families and not trying to kill each other. She is part of the mainstream. She is every college campus. She is the television. She is the film industry. She is the fucking, political class. Like, she represents all of that stuff and thinks that she's the rebel or the underdog.
But she also represents and provides power to the elites who are manufacturing this particular monetary system. That's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about small business owners or capitalism or people exchanging goods for services and stuff like that. I'm talking about the entire system of printing money. She is a cog in that system and she is unaware of it. Or maybe she is aware of it. Who knows? But I'm just laying that out there. I'm going to just lay that out there, and maybe I'll, like, in the future we can talk about it more, because I know it's sort of a difficult one. It's an Allisonism.
Okay.
I'm seeing a connection. I am seeing it, and one day I'll be able to explain it better.
All right. Let's go to more of the clip here.
By driving a stake through their heart.
No, Nancy, that's vampire. Actually, technically, you
This is
could kill
just
a lot of
retarded.
things that way.
See?
There is
Yeah.
so much misinformation about feminism online that it would probably
really?
be easier for me to explain to you what feminism is by telling you what it isn't.
I'm not a
Oh boy, here we go. All right, so this is the last part. Let me see. It goes for like a minute and a half, and it's like women saying, "I'm not a feminist." Well, let's see let's see how it goes.
Feminist. I can see men and I don't immediately feel threatened.
Actually, I have many male friends, and I'm dating a man. Sorry, Chaperone, I have failed you.
I'm not a feminist. I can wear dresses and feel pretty.
Not to brag or anything, but I actually think I look pretty phenomenal in a dress. Not that one, though. That one is, hideous.
That's what is that? Is that sexual competition?
Yes, it's sexual
she's
competition.
criticizing the woman's dress. Okay.
Not a feminist. Thank you.
That's actually just basic politeness that everyone should participate in. The only factor that should determine who opens a door for who is whoever gets there first.
I'm not a feminist. I don't hate children.
Those crazy feminists getting abortions for fun every weekend, hissing at passing strollers and plucking infants from cradles to put them in delicious children's stew.
No, you're talking about witches.
Nancy, language. There are
Oh, god damn. Does she get to a point?
Let's see. I have 30 seconds left. Let's see.
are so many feminists that are literally parents. I myself worked in childcare for many years, and even though, yes,
That's
they're
scary.
excellent sources of protein, I am proud to say that no kids died on my watch.
I'm not a feminist. I can actually cook.
Cooking is actually like a super important skill that everyone should learn. Feminism views domestic tasks like cooking and cleaning as legitimate forms of labor instead of just assumed responsibilities for women. It's traditional men, not feminists, who view these tasks as beneath them.
Really?
Yep. So okay, so what that's the end of the clip that I got, but essentially what she seems to land on is when it comes to the problem with Tradwives, other than they're living a better life than me, and I hate them for that. But the thing she tries to claim, and they have the bananas, is that they're doing labor, and the labor they are doing, the cooking and the cleaning and the raising of the children, is something that is bad because men look down on that work. I mean, that's what she's, even though men are doing their own labor, like they're mowing the lawn, they're cleaning the gutters, they're doing the roofing, they're, you know, probably also cooking and cleaning and raising children. They're probably also involved with that. They're probably also having a job and paying all the bills. So she's trying to equivocate or make the claim that feminists are all about all that, but they consider it to be labor. Now, I think that might be a point there, because she's probably a communist too, because most feminists are, that the fact that you're working at home means that your labor is unpaid, which means that you deserve something more, even though you're literally just, like, no one thinks of cleaning the house as a job that is laborious. They just think that we should all just do that because we don't want, like, cockroaches and rats.
Oh, this particular video also describes Project 2025.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, it does later on.
Yeah, later on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, good Lord.
Should you know, let me see, where is it? Because I don't think I got that far.
Oh, okay. So it's 35:59.
Oh, okay. Be afraid. Be afraid. Be afraid of Project 2025, which basically I looked at it, went through it on a stream. You could look at it on Honey Badger Arcade.
Hey. Actually, you know what? Go to 33:57, because she actually explicitly addresses the allegations of capitalism.
Okay. It's right here. All right. Hold on. Let me switch scenes. So here we have a woman.
I had to climb corporate ladders, and we boss babed so hard. Now, like, we're a little bit boss babed out.
But that's just capitalism, babes. And I don't think becoming a tradwife is the clever exploit you think it is. It's just
okay. So just give me a question. All right. So it's just capitalism. It's wage slavery. So you're literally telling women to embrace something that's making them miserable because reasons, and when a woman says, you know what, this is making me miserable, you know, husband, you do it instead, that is being exploited. Okay, let's find out. Like, literally, that's what's happening here. She's saying it's capitalism, it's wage slavery, it's bad. So you're getting part of a system that exploits you, but you should take part in that system that exploits you as a woman because otherwise the person that you're shoving in the way of the train, it might benefit from it. You know, benefit from your labor.
I think I know why she's doing it, but let's listen to the rest of this. Yeah, I have a theory.
Drudgery for another form of servitude, a form of servitude that has no salary, no HR department, and no 401k. Not to mention that the reality for a lot of women is getting whammy of work.
Wait. All right, so we have two forms of so-called drudgery. One is for the capitalist system that she is obviously against, and the other is for somebody that you love, right? But that's bad because you're apparently doing drudgery for someone that you love. You would consider this a relationship, but apparently that's not the case. And it's bad because you don't get a 401k. Your husband's will be given to you upon his death, which he most likely will die before you. But what she's saying is that a relationship that is mediated, so you are providing services, not using money, it's not mediated through money, is bad. But a relationship that is mediated through money is good, right? How is communism going to mediate things? Like, how is it going to make people exchange things? If you can't do it in a family as a result of your care for another person, and you can't do it based on money. Like, you get what I'm saying? It's like, what is motivating?
There you go again, Allison, using rationality. It doesn't matter. These people don't care. I'll tell you what I think it is. I think that the reason why this woman is essentially saying that despite the fact that capitalism is bad, women should enter the workforce instead, she uses the fact that there's a paycheck, which, not like men don't supply women with everything they need if they are the breadwinner, but never mind that because that's oppressive. But despite the fact that there is no HR department, which is something that women use to destroy men's careers all the time, and that there is no 401k, she wants women in the workforce because then, firstly, you have to make traditional life seem as horrible, more horrible than working. So you say this is worse than working, is being a stay-at-home mother and wife and raising children. This is obviously far worse, and here's all the reasons why it's worse. And a lot of it has to be really hyperbolic, if not outright untrue. And then those women are like, well, I don't want to be I don't want to be like a tradwife. That sounds horrible. I'm going to go get a job. And then they get a job and they hate their job. And then they go, well, I hate my job. And she's like, well, that's just capitalism. So it's essentially a way to make women into communists, because if they know that the trad life or like being a stay-at-home mom isn't as bad as they were told, then they might not pursue a career. Like you said before with Betty Friedan thing, if women had the opportunity to choose, they would probably not choose to enter the workforce, and they would probably choose to work something out with their husband, like an arrangement that is fair, which is what most married couples do. That's just the way it is. So she wants to make women into bitter, resentful communists by telling them, you don't want the trad life. Trust me, it's awful. Here's all the reasons. So then those women go, well, I'll just get a regular job. And they're like, man, regular jobs suck. I don't get paid much. I'm burned out. I'm overworked. I'm struggling. And she's like, well, actually, the trad life is a byproduct of the capitalist system, and the capitalist system is really the problem. So what we need to do is start a violent revolution. We'll use a bunch of these stupid simpy men to help us do it. We'll burn everything down. And trust me, there'll be something new and it'll be better. I mean, it's got to be better than this, right? And that's the selling point. They want women miserable so that they can turn them into commies.
One more step.
Okay.
What's going to happen is we'll burn everything down, and then the people that print money will give us salaries.
They don't even think that far ahead, Allison. They don't know that. They still think that money is like some kind of. Yeah, I know, but it might be, but even then, they don't know what they're asking for, because that's not feasible. Plenty of men have said, plenty of smarter. I know, but they don't. So look, Allison, what I'm saying is you're explaining this very well. The problem is these people don't listen to reason. They don't care. Feelings don't care about your facts. That's their mantra. So it doesn't matter. Like they'll be at the point where their money can't buy shit, and they'll still blame men. Well, this is men's fault somehow, while they're starving and diseased and getting their 900th booster, with their fucking bug sandwich. And they're like, why is it so bad? It must be men's fault. They'll never learn. It's going to destroy us. Yeah.
Everybody who's doing this can get them to blame men, and they never actually point the finger at anybody who's actually doing it. But I think their ultimate aim is universal basic income, which means people just get money, and they don't even realize how much that's an exploitation of everyone.
Yeah, especially men.
Because this is a mouthpiece for the people who print money. And all they want to do is just keep money in circulation. They don't care if it doesn't buy anything. If a hamburger in the U.S. costs $9,000, that's $9,000 more for the GDP. And what they're doing is they're using the circulation of cash in the U.S. to make the dollar attractive outside the U.S., essentially. Because the more Americans use the dollar, and it's like the circulation, the speed of it makes it so that no matter how much you put out in the other economy, as long as it's buying, okay, if it takes $9,000 to buy a hamburger in the US, you can sustain a $9 hamburger everywhere else in the world, because there will always be that demand. Americans will always need more money to buy things. It's why the American dollar always has less spending power in the US than anywhere else, because it needs to move faster, it needs to have larger amounts. Things need to be more expensive in the US relative to the rest of the world so that the dollar maintains its relative value in the rest of the world. Okay? So it always is sucking money back into the US. Okay, this is a really difficult concept to explain. And I probably shouldn't have gotten into it. Sorry guys, I just went too deep. I went too deep. Let's
all right.
move back to the shore.
All right. What's the other time you wanted to get to the Project 2025 thing?
She talked like I don't know what more can we say? She talks about Project 2025. It's the next paranoid thing, because honestly, at this point in the whole culture war, on one side we have the people who are invested in printing money, and the other side we have the people who are invested in keeping people productive. So they want to attend to relationships, family formation. They want to attend to business and reducing regulations because they want to keep the society productive. But I swear to God, and I haven't clarified exactly why, the people who want to keep, for example, the US productive, making things, are in direct opposition with the people who just want to rely on the US dollar as a currency. Like they're at odds. And I can clarify, but I cannot right now because it's just, I have to think about it. I got to go into my artist cave and cogitate on things, you know?
Yeah.
That's why we're different than the theater kids. You got to just retreat like Gollum.
Don't take it personal when I pick on theater kids, but they have it coming. All right. So Richard Bier gives us, they do $5 from Richard Bier. Thank you, Richard. Thank you for the $5. He's always good for super chows. Perhaps now is the time for you to show the meme that I sent to your DM, was sent to Brian and Allison, both of the same. At some point, there will be retirement age feminists making videos that will either be ignored by the target audience or laughed at by that audience. And he sent me a thing. I'll just put it in a tab here, and I guess I will share it with you guys because he paid. So I'm going to take that as an order. And let's share this tab instead. And if you can't see it because it's small, there's an old woman pointing at a young woman and says, "You're 80, or no, you're 30. Why don't you have kids yet?" And the woman points back at the old ladies and says, "You're 80. Why aren't you dead yet?" So
charming.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that sort of feels like what's happening here. All right. So I do have a few thank yous to give. Like, I don't know what we can say about Project 2025. It's just more paranoid ranting.
Yeah, you haven't looked at it. So, but all I'll say is there are hundreds of think tanks. Let me turn these things back on. There are hundreds of think tanks in every government in the world. And whenever there's an election, think tanks put together an initiative, and it has a bunch of stuff on it. Every party does it. Every wing, everybody. Okay, this is not unique to America. It's all over the world. The Heritage Foundation is one such think tank. And another think tank, there are plenty of left-wing ones too. The ones that came up with the Green New Deal, for example, or sustainability initiatives. And the Heritage Foundation put up this thing called Project 2025, and I went through it on a stream. I went through every single thing that they want to promote. I went through every organization to see if there was anything crazy or culty. I wanted to see if what was that super fundamentalist, crazy ass family that would stand outside of military burials and say God hates, F words. The Westboro Baptist Church. I want to see if they were involved. It was super normie conservative shit. There was nothing weird. It was all like, let's stop spending here. Let's, reform the Department of Education. We got to cut spend. It's all about cutting spending and cutting government bloat. And that was the most of it. I mean, there was, some of it was, pretty Christian, but all of the fear mongering and paranoia, it's bullshit. Now, if you're a feminist, you probably find it an existential threat. Because it is to remove or do something drastic to the Department of Education, which I support. because it doesn't actually educate anyone, and it's a waste of our money. But to want to do something about that scares them, because that's how they indoctrinate people. That's how they groom children. That's how I mean, like, nobody is served by education, Allison. Like, our test scores for kids are at record low numbers. People are garbage at general stuff, but they know how many pronouns there are. So, like, you have to ask yourself at some point, this isn't working. And it's feminists that are doing it. So when somebody says, you know, we should do something about the Department of Education, they're going to be, oh, they're radicals. They want your kids like that woman, that Mormon woman in the video that was like, I don't have an education. Yeah, but you were obviously able to operate your phone and make that video. You could read, you could talk. Maybe the education is not good. Maybe you were better homeschooled. You probably were. You didn't want to admit it. I mean, I know people who homeschool their kids and their kids are smarter than the kids that go to fucking public school that are older than them. So I'm saying Project 2025 is way overblown. And for the record, Trump said he's not doing that anyway. So it's almost like a pointless endeavor to bring up and say, oh my God, you know, the scary. I mean, he should. I would take a fucking wrecking ball to the Department of Education if I was in charge. It'd be gone. Like Vivek Ramaswamy would talked about getting rid of it. And I'm like, yeah, dude, like this shit's got to go.
What, you know, and what's really astounding about, like, I just got a few final words about this. I shouldn't say. All right. First of all, she talks about how there's pressure to, or there's like this scheme to get women to stay at home, right? Traditional men. What the heck was this? This entire thing was her.
It's like they know that women are susceptible to propaganda, but they don't like the other side's propaganda.
Yeah. This entire video was about her insinuating that this choice was wrong. Dangerous to other women, dangerous to the women who choose it, dangerous.
Oh, but it will also be dangerous to women of the future because it could change. Like if women, as more and more women become trad influencers, then that means that there will be fewer feminists.
Yeah. Well, here's the problem. Like, it's consistently shown if you give women the choice, they choose to stay at home.
Mm-hmm.
More traditional.
If you gave men the choice, they would stay at home. Like,
yeah, no shit. More,
right.
If you give anybody the choice, they wouldn't take wage slavery.
Yeah.
And the honest to God truth is that exchanging a 40-hour-a-week work for 15 hours a week, doing something for somebody that you love, is ridiculously a no-brainer. That's why she has to have this long-ass conversation about how awful it is. It's a no-brainer to get away from wage slavery. Right? It's actually sort of horrible that you make your man do it. But on the other hand, men seem to take a lot more of an identity from this kind of stuff. They seem to be more happier to do it.
Yeah.
They get more out of it, maybe emotionally. I don't know. I'm not going to judge. Well, that's how you.
I think that men do want to feel like their contribution matters, right? They don't. Yeah, if they like stay home and do nothing, I think it's soul destroying for most men.
My point is that she talks about how the other side is doing these sinister things, and yet every bit of evidence points to the fact that if you give women a choice, most of them would rather stay at home. They would rather do this part-time job for someone they love than a full-time job for a bunch of strangers who don't give a fuck about them, right? Regardless of what you're saying is the protections, which wives also have, by the way, you ridiculous person. Now, the other thing is that she says that trad wives live in a gilded cage, but trad wives live in less of a gilded cage than she does, right? And then the other thing is that, again, why is this so important? Why is it so important that women work? Like, why is she so worried? Why is this such a thing that concerns her so much? Right? I mean, they talk constantly about the exploitation of the workplace, sexual exploitation of bosses, all of this other stuff. But for some reason, a part-time job doing something for someone you love is this onerous burden. You know, and it's just, there's a lot of question marks in my head. There's a lot of things that aren't filling in. I have ideas of how they fill in. I might be wrong. I got to work on how to articulate them, but this ain't it, Chief. She's up to something, friends.
And she's not the only one. Like I said, there's a whole. This is like one ship in a fleet. But anyway, let's wrap it up because I got a patron show and I don't want to be up super late. So.
Okay. All right. So once again, I have a few people to thank for. Okay. So I want to thank. Okay. For some reason, I think I got signed out. Okay. So I can thank. Pirish. I'll just call you Pierre. Pierre gave us $25. Thank you, Pierre, for
good news, everyone.
Indeed. Okay, and I got signed out, so I got to sign back in.
All right.
This is just now I have to do like one of those CAPTCHA things.
CAPTCHA things? Oh my god!
No,
Prove
like,
that you're human.
Yeah, I'm currently proving I'm human. Everyone, let's find out the results. Stay tuned. Oh, looks like I am.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Now I have to wait for. All right. There we go. There we go. Okay. And then the other individual was David USB Violator, who I assume that's not your legal name. So thank you. $25 from David USB Violator.
Thank you.
Be brutal, mama.
All right. And if you do want to help us out, we have about $250 left on this particular goal on the fundraiser at feedthebadger.com/events, and consider coming out. It's going to be, again, September 28th of the 28th of this month, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And if you want more details, feedthebadger.com/events. And if after any point after the show, you just want to send us a message and a tip, feedthebadger.com/justthetip. And I will hand this back to Brian. Go ahead, Brian.
All right, then. Well, if you guys like this video, please smash like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. And please, please, please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you so much for coming on today's episode of Maintaining Frame, and we'll talk to you all in the next video.
Who's that handsome guy?
Are machines, dude. Okay, they are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.